Hey everybody, Economic Ninja here. I hope you're doing great. Got a story that I want to share that I think is very, very important. And the reason why is because we are seeing the de-dollarization of the global economy right now, as China and Russia have not only announced a new reserve currency that they're coming out with, they have also have a whole new system for interbank transfers called SIPs, a total rival that's better, faster, cheaper than SWIFT. But also now we see India purchasing oil from Russia at a discounted rate in rubles, and now we're seeing something in China, and this is a big deal. I'll explain it in a second. It's entitled Unknown Merchant from China spends $376 million to buy 13 cargo vessels. It says an unknown China-based merchant has reportedly spent about $376 million to purchase 13 tankers to enable ship-to-ship transfers of Russia's crude in the waters of the Mid-Atlantic. Data shared by a maritime intelligence site named Lloyd's Lists Highlights. The report mentions that an unknown Chinese buyer has reported and acquired 5 Aframax tankers, 7 big crude carriers, and a Suezmax vessel via purchases between China and Hong Kong. The buyer purchased 10 ships from May to July, and 13 are linked to the same office building based in Dalian in China. It says the fleet represents a core of a new high-risk transshipment center for Russia's crude in the international waters off Portugal's west coast. All right, let's pause here. This is a very big deal, and this is why. This is why it's going to affect America. This is why it's going to affect the world. The world is shattering into 2 economies, right? We became a global economy a handful of decades ago when the deal was struck between, it was about 50 years ago actually, when the deal was struck with Saudi Arabia, where all oil purchased from them would be purchased using US dollars, right? Then we became a global currency for sure, and the reason why is because countries around the world were forced to go and buy dollars from us, right? So we could just print up money, give it to them in exchange for their wealth, right? Then they would take those dollars and go and buy oil. Now that has stopped. It is officially stopped. Russia signed a historic deal with Saudi Arabia last, I believe, September, August, around there. And since then, many other countries have followed suit. Now, as we tried to sanction, and I mean try, and everybody, in the mainstream press was laughing at Russia as the ruble was collapsing when they moved into Ukraine, they turned the tables and they said, all right, you know what we're going to do? Oil's starting to inflate massively. Let's sell it in rubles. So anybody who wants to buy it in rubles, we'll give you a discount. And countries started to line up, primarily India, which is a massive country when you look at its GDP. Now, take that, and now you have China now purchasing the equipment to be able to do transfers of oil, cheaper oil, buying them in rubles. All right, so this is what I want to explain to you. This is what's very important. Every day that another country does no longer needs to go and buy US dollars to buy oil or other commodities, that means that it is going to be harder for the Federal Reserve to export inflation, okay? It also means, on top of that, that those countries that have dollars as reserve, and we'll use China as an example. China has been selling off its dollar reserves at pretty fast pace over the last year and a half. As a matter of fact, I believe it's at its lowest point right now of what it holds in dollar reserves in the past so many years. Point being is that they're going to continue to sell those dollars because they're no longer going to need them. So who buys dollars? Well, the problem is very few countries are going to want dollars, but for sure the US. So you've probably heard before, as dollars start to rush back home, that's when we start to see massive inflation. And on the heels right now, the stock market's up like handful of days in a row. And why? They're saying because of a great inflation report. It's not a great inflation report. We are at the same inflation rate as we were in the spring, right? So it dipped a little bit. Well, I want people to understand this. It dipped also last July, the July before this one, okay? So seasonality, this happened last year as well, and then it took off again. So don't think that we're out of the woods when you see the S&P going up. And if you're into stocks, and there's a story that I'm going to be doing at some point today, I don't know if it already came out or when it's going to come out, but if you're into stocks, you need to educate yourself. Start learning technical analysis. I've got that course from Johnny down below. Invest in yourself, because It's one thing to be able to buy a stock while everybody's, screaming, oh, inflation's going down, so the stock market's going to go up. Because I've told you there was going to be a dead cat bounce in the summer in equities, that we were going to see a rally in equities, including cryptocurrency. But I said, get ready, because I believe in the fall we're going to see that pinch. Some point in the fall, between September and November, we're going to see some crazy swings, because seasonality, that's what happens. Remember, guys, I'm a cycle investor, big cycles. I don't look at the day-to-day. So that's why I say educate yourself. Look at that link below for Johnny's course. It's an amazing course for learning technical analysis and these time cycles, these 200-day moving averages and so on. Now, again, I'm going to link this below because I think it is very pertinent to the day we're living in right now, because countries are walking away from the dollar, which means dollars are going to become worth less, which means inflation is going to pick up. And the Federal Reserve and the federal government is doing everything they can to hide this from you. So I wanted to make sure you guys understand, you have the knowledge base. Stop looking at the day-to-day minutia and look at the larger cycles, the 3-month, 1-year cycles, the 7 and 10-year cycles, and then remember that we are in a 100-year cycle. That's a big cycle. That's a big correction. All right, guys, I'm not gonna pound this anymore. I'm gonna link the story below. I hope you have an awesome day. With that being said, the Economic Ninja is out.